and it's brewing. The Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo, writes to President questioning his proceed on leave directive. The statement he issued reads as follows. I write to notify you that I started my leave for the year 2020 on 1st July 2020 out of deference to the office of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, and also out of the deep-seated respect I have for the office. He continues that I think it is necessary, however, to bring to the attention of the high office of the President a few matters relevant to our constitutional governance, due process, and the rule of law. My knowledge of recent labor law and practice in the country is that no one, on account of having any accumulated leave, is deemed to have accumulated that leave on account of their having failed, omitted, neglected, or even refused to enjoy their right to annual leave, which the law also guarantees for the benefit, not the employer. I'm also informed that by law, every person is entitled, save in every limited circumstances, to waive what the law has ordained for their benefit. In this case, a worker's leave. And the statement continues that I have been constrained to make the point above as a result of the following observations. Previous correspondent, make it clear that the Auditor General's work is embarrassing the government. He also touches on the office and said the office must have been aware also that several appointees of the President have not since the year 2017 taken their annual leave to date. The direction, therefore, that I proceed on leave, oblivious of the other workers similarly circumstanced, is a problem for the Auditor General. He says, I consider it an honor to be of service to the state and urge that you reconsider the directive in order to protect the sanctity of the labor law, the Constitution, and the independence of the Auditor General, which is of utmost importance insofar as ensuring that the constitutional principles of probity, transparency, and accountability are all concerned. Well, let's speak to legal practitioners, Martin Kpebu, and also Roxy Nelson Dafama, who will be on the phone, and we'll have some related conversation. If we have time, we'll also touch base with some labor consultant, and Austin Game readily comes to mind. We will have him as well. Good evening to all of you. Please unmute your sound so that...
Good evening.
Great. Good evening. Now, the President quoted relevant sections of 20 subsection 1 and then 31 of the Labour Act, though the AG's office is also established under the article of the Constitution 187. We also do know that the President has a hand in the appointment of the Auditor General. So I'm thinking that the President was right in issuing the directive. Let me first pose that to you, legal practitioner Martin Kpebu. Please unmute. Martin? Martin, unmute. Unmute your sound. Okay. Now, Mr. Game, the President should be right, isn't he? He has a hand in the very appointment of the Auditor General, is that not, by way of his office?
Yeah, thank you. I think, yes, the President has a hand in appointing the Auditor General, but I'm very certain in my mind that the arrangement for him to go on leave, something went wrong, generally speaking. And we can talk about it as we go along, but I think something went wrong.
If we have to talk on matters of law, by what means did the President err within the remit of the law? Mr. Martin Kpebu.
So let's say it this way. In terms of our constitutional values, in terms of the culture that the Supreme Court has been trying to build into our institutions. You see, the Constitution envisages that we should have probity, transparency, accountability. So if you look at the fact that the Auditor General has been doing such a good job in terms of holding the government accountable, it's almost like the #1 watchdog, okay? And so in that context, to ask him to proceed on leave at a time where he's seized with a critical national assignment in terms of the Kroll and Associates case, you know, he's up against the senior minister, who is a very powerful person in government. You see that the timing is totally wrong. So that's where the issue arises. Yes, as Auditor General, he must rest from time to time because he's human, I mean, at the end of the day. But where he's seized with such a critical matter that has aroused a lot of public interest, that is certainly not the time to ask him to proceed on leave.
Mr. Austin Game, if you look at the Labour Act, the Act 651, indeed 31, it's indicated that any agreement to relinquish the entitlement to annual leave or to forgo such leave is void. But we also do know that the Public Services Commission has a manual and a framework by which they tend to use in guiding how leaves are issued. It is indicated that if the leave is applied, then there could be some forfeiture in consonance with the board. The Auditor General has not applied for any leave the last 3 years.
Well, that even makes it a lot more easier for those who have to. Any HR policy or directive from the civil service must be consistent with the operating law. So it cannot be at variance with it. The law is very clear, what you read under 31. It's an accumulated leave, the issue. If that is the issue, then that's the point the problem is. We don't have to accumulate leave. The law we read says annual leave. And like the lawyer said, Martin said, clearly what it is that annually, each and every individual, including your good self, you must take leave to go and rest, re-energize yourself and return to work. But to sort of accumulate leave is alien to our law now. There are several provisions, both in law and in practice, to enable people, if you have to go travel to go and do some program, it can be another form of exception that will be given to you to go. If you are sick, it comes under sick leave. If whatever it is, provision have been made for it. But when it comes to annual leave, the barest minimum being 15 might be taken by everybody. Then it's set aside in the various working tools that we have that people like AG, like Attorney General, Auditor General can take about 32 or 34 days leave, I'm not too sure. He must take it annually. If he's not taking it, then it's forfeited. That is what it is. It's void. It's not there for him to take. That's all the problem there is about it. And it's just a simple HR function at the service itself. It should not take the old man or the president to handle. It shouldn't be so. I think they've worried him too much.
So in other words, it's a leave that is not available or not accruing to the said party, and we're talking about the Auditor General, for him to take at all. Why then did the president get the advice that he can put into the letter the wording that he did, making reference to the Constitution as well?
I think some wrong reference was made. I'm sure not the law. If it's the law, then that is a gross error. But the other point is that they were referencing the late Atta Mills having requested the previous Auditor General to proceed on similar leave. That is a very, very dangerous reference because that was a gross error, and you can't repeat error like that. It's a repetitive of error, which is wrong. I think it's wrong. I'm very certain in my mind that they are wrong.
Mr. Bating-Pebu, if we look at what the conclusive part of the Auditor General's letter to the President's office is. He says, I consider it an honor to be of service to the state and urge you that you reconsider the directive in order to protect the sanctity of the labor law, the Constitution, and the independence of the Auditor General, which is of utmost importance insofar as ensuring that the constitutional principles of probity, transparency, and accountability are concerned. I am thinking the probity, transparency, and accountability part is just of moral reasoning, but the section about protecting the functions and the office of the Auditor General perhaps could be linked to the law, the regulation, and the office itself. But then that still doesn't give him the right to say, I can't take my leave if it's accumulated.
Oh, definitely. He can't say he will not take his leave. It's all about the timing, very wrong timing. Let's go back this way. So when he started, those constitutional values, what you read, probity, transparency, accountability, and so on and so forth, they are not just moral, ways to achieve a moral purpose. No, they are concrete constitutional values. Yes, our Constitution envisages that there should be probity, accountability, transparency, and so on and so forth. So when the Supreme Court, I'm sure you've heard of the letter and the spirit of the law. Very well. Right? When the Supreme Court is interpreting, sometimes these are the values the Supreme Court look at, and then it shines light. It enables them to see their way clear. So, there was a case in which somebody sued in respect of the office of the Auditor General. It's called Brown versus Attorney General, 2010 Supreme Court of Ghana Law Report. If you read that decision, you see how the Supreme Court clearly stated that the office of the Auditor General is independent, okay? And so those days, there was this practice where the finance minister would ask the Auditor General to seek clearance from the finance minister before employing people. The Supreme Court struck down that practice, okay? And so on and so forth. So the Auditor General, being his special rule is that he's the #1 watchdog within government, #1 watchdog. So you don't treat your watchdog like that. No. You need to give him as much space so that he can breathe and think and do what he has to do to keep government in check. So based on these constitutional values of probity, accountability, transparency, and so on and so forth, the decision to ask him to proceed on leave at this time is totally wrong.
Well, we're joined by Roxanne Nelson Dafamokpo, who is also a legal practitioner and member of parliament for his constituency. Have we lost you, sir? Roxanne? Well, we seem to have. Well, he's a member of parliament for South Dine as well, but we'll get him on stream. He had an opinion also. He wrote on his Facebook page and handle as well. And I'll pose this question to you, Mr. Austin Game. The Auditor General, the office itself, can it be said to have a position of an employer and employee relationship, looking at the structure of its appointment, and so could be treated?
Obviously, everybody has a kind of a relationship at the workplace. So he's not, even though he's independent, he's not supposed to be going against the law or laws. And I do not think in this case that is the case. But once he did not take his leave, clearly what it means is that aspect of the previous leave, 2017, 2018, 2019, in the true spirit, as I heard the lawyer said, we generated over 2,000 pages of information in arriving at 175 sections of this law. And the spirit behind this particular section 31 is that each and every one must take his leave annually, not to be accumulated. So this back and forth does not sit well with the law and the practice. The intent of this law is for people to take their leave annually. Otherwise, it's void. And the lawyer will tell you that void means that it is non-existent.
Yeah. Mr. Kpebu, in the performance of his function, as established in Article 187, if you read subsequently, it says in the Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority. Now, we also do know his appointment is by the presidency. Is that not the case? How do we marry the two?
Yes, so that's how come we return to the values that the Supreme Court has established for interpreting the Constitution. So that if you find that, yes, you see you read 187, but when you go to 292, the interpretation section, it makes it clear that the person who has the power to appoint also has the power to discipline and all that. Yes, so because he has disciplinary power, when the president says proceed on leave, the Auditor General ought to. Otherwise, we'll be headed for something that will be unpleasant, okay? Yes. So the point is that, yes, the president may have disciplinary powers, okay? But when you look at the constitutional values of accountability and the rest we've repeated over and over, you will see that to the extent that the Auditor General, is currently engaged in a very critical exercise, okay, you have to allow him to finish. You see, I said something that in project management, usually you will not change your safe pair of hands, okay, your most trusted team in the middle of a tournament. Okay, take it like football. So here in football, you don't change a winning team.
All right.
So the Auditor General is doing a critical job. He's doing very well. And he's shown the courage. You see, he speaks truth to power and the rest. So we are not sure of the person taking over at this critical time. This is not the time to let a substitute come in. No, it's not the time for a substitute.
All right.
That's how come I said, so using the values, you find that the proceed on leave is wrongly timed.
All right, we have to end this conversation. Mr. Game, just in 30 seconds, would you then agree with the president or agree with the Auditor General that the president needs to rescind the decision?
If I were to be in the shoes of the old man, I would surely the president, and I respect him a lot, I will take my time and recall him back.
Well, thank you very much. Austin Game is with Game and Game Academy of Mediation, and they're now a whole group on their own. And thank you very much, Austin Game. Also, Martin Kpebu is a legal practitioner and helps us regularly on many other related matters right here on the channel. So you can take leave of us, Mr. Austin Game, and well, just take a rest, Mr. Kpebu. We'll be back with you on another subject and have one or two other questions posed to you.